So far we have results from two solidly Republican counties, Adams County, Lewis County, working class, socially conservative areas, and Jefferson County up here in Port Townsend. Not swing areas by any means, but the county to watch in these results is Snohomish County so far. It tends to be a good barometer of the statewide margin. Thus far, we see a slight lead for Jay Inslee in that county. If that holds, it's a good sign for him statewide.
Oh, look, King just colored in.
And this is actually a promising sign for Inslee. This is a few ticks up from his performance in 2012, where he received about 60% of the primary vote in King County. It's looking like the numbers are holding a lot like 2012 thus far, maybe a slight tick up for Jay Inslee. If that holds, it could be another 4 to 5 point win for Inslee, much like in the 2012 primary.
Yeah.
If you look east of the mountains to places like Franklin County, which is Pasco, Garfield County, one of the most Republican counties in the state, we actually see Murray in first place, mainly probably because the Republican vote is getting a little bit split. Vance is not an incumbent, has less name familiarity. We're going to see that pattern continue. And in fact, we're filling in here pretty blue. But really, the real decisive margin here is here in King County, where Murray is carrying over 2/3 of the vote in early returns. This is not a margin which a Republican can catch up statewide. And frankly, Murray is breaking 50% in a lot of the swing counties. This thus far looks like a pretty decisive result for Murray. We'll watch as more comes in.
And I should mention to our viewers that when you're looking at this map, the darker blue means a decisive win over 60%. The lighter shade of blue is under 60%. So we can see the difference between Snohomish here at 50.5 and, of course, as you were mentioning, King County. This is a very, very popular senior senator who has risen to one of the top leadership positions on the Democratic side in the U.S. Senate. And it's a very unusual year to be running as a Republican, which we were speaking to as a group. Now let's take a look at the governor's race, where we have a little bit of a different picture here. We see Inslee still up at 52.5, Bryant at 35.6, but we have a lot of red filling in on the eastern side of the state, which is typical if we look back, 4 years ago, 4 years prior. What are these results?
Now that we've gotten some more results, and an interesting point of concern for Inslee, it's here in Mason County, which is Shelton, and down here in Cowlitz County, Kelso, Longview. These are more white working class counties. It appears that the results we're getting may indicate that Inslee is struggling potentially a little bit with that vote. It's something he even did against Rob McKenna a few years back, but as we've seen that margin creep down a little, this still looks like it's an Inslee-leaning result, especially for the results in Snohomish and King County. But it's going to be something that we'll need to watch in later ballot returns.
King over 60%.
The other part is that the late voting King County voters just tend to be substantially more progressive than the early voting ones. Now, that's not the pattern across the entire state necessarily, but it's usually good for another point or two in King County. It'll be interesting with the laggy turnout this year to see if that pattern holds up, or it could even be stronger than usual.
And how could that affect CD7, Marco?
Well, I think we're going to see Waukesha probably pick up a little bit. He really tried to go for that young vote, and we'll see if that worked with his turnout efforts as he goes forward. Joe McDermott had a better night than I think a lot of people suspected, and I think he wasn't sitting down either, so his turnout might carry the day, but Waukesha may pull it out.
What do you think about the name recognition angle, that maybe people are voting for Joe McDermott just because Jim McDermott was in that seat?
You can't discount it, but Joe's been in the state Senate, he's been in the King County Council, so he didn't just show up and say, my name's the same, let's run, but it might have been a little bit helpful. And he'll take it. He'll take every vote.
Absolutely. Tell us again the amount of money spent on this race.
Well, Pramila raised 1.2, Brady raised 800,000, and Joe raised 400, which is why that gap makes us a little bit suspicious. But there was outside money too that may have surpassed $1 million when all of it was counted, and most of it had Pramila's name on it.
So now to all of you, can you believe how far we've come? Because of your ownership and your engagement that we went from being the underdogs in one of the first polls that had us 25 points behind, and just in a few short months we have ended up where we are tonight.
Be a week or more.
This doesn't seem to surprise you, though, that out of the gate it's Pramila Jayapal.
No, she spent a lot of money, she had a lot of support, she's a fantastic candidate, she's represented the area for a long time. It was my bet.
Okay, and she's a Bernie person too.
Yes.
Endorsed by Bernie Sanders.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.